So as I said, we have 128 bits as part of the addressing. So that is 2 to the power of 128 hosts. This translates to roughly 3 into 10 to the power of 38 hosts. The scope of the number is mind-boggling. So let me emphasize this through this example. If you take the entire surface of the earth, including the land and the water, and you distribute these addresses uniformly across the surface, you have potentially 7 into 10 to the power of 23 IP addresses per square foot. And to relate to this 10 to the power of 23 number, since the Big Bang, the number of microseconds that have passed is roughly about this number. So this is of the same order. So as you can see, these are so many addresses that in any time in the future, we don't have to worry about addressing. So I guess the next generation of students who focus mostly on IP version 6 don't have to see so many videos based on addressing. So how does one represent these addresses? In IP version 4, we have represented addresses as something like this, separated by a dot, right? So here we represent it in this particular fashion where we use hexadecimal block to represent 16-bit pieces of address separated by these columns. So this corresponds to 128 bits where each 16 bits in turn are represented by 4 hexadecimals. So often when you have to write this, if there are a lot of zeros, it's just unnecessary repetition. So in short form, all this leading zeros can be eliminated. So I have eliminated the zero, all the zeros I have not even written. I just put 2 columns, and this all zeros I have eliminated. Much like in IP version 4, this addressing is also classless addressing. So you make use of the prefix or the /48 or /32 or whatever it is to identify the network portion. That said, certain types of addresses have special meaning as part of IP version 6. For example, this all zeros address is unspecified, and all zeros ending with 1 is the loopback address. And the first 8 bits, if they are all ones, it corresponds to a multicast address. And if the first 10 bits correspond to this pattern, this means it's a link local unicast address. Again, we will cover briefly what it is as part of auto configuration. I'll get to that shortly. And when you are doing this transition from IP version 4 to IP version 6, it's useful to extend the IP version 4 addresses to IP version 6, and this is how they are typically extended. So the last 32 bits correspond to the IP version 4 address, and before this you put 16 ones. Before this, they're all zeros. So this type of addresses are called IPv4 mapped IPv6 addresses. So they have special meaning in this fashion. So the routing based on IP version 6 is again very similar to IP version 4, except for some new extension routing headers. So for example, in IP version 6, you can specify which provider network your packets can take. So for example, some flows you may want them to send through provider network 1, some other flows you want to send through provider network 2, because provider network 2 provides some kind of guarantees, while provider network 1 may be cheap. So this feature is currently not there as part of IP version 4. There's actually a lot happening at IP version 6. I'm only providing a very high level picture. Another interesting feature as part of IP version 6 is this auto configuration of addresses. So addressing a host obtaining an IP address in IP version 4 is done via DHCP servers, whereas in IP version 6, you can have a stateless auto configuration without servers. Quite interesting, right? But without servers, how would you get a unique IP address as well as the correct address prefix? This is the net mask. So what are your thoughts? Actually, it's a simple solution. So a host that is connected to a physical network. So this is the host. There's also a router connected to this. So this router can periodically advertise the prefix information. So all hosts that are part of the particular network will receive this advertisements because these are broadcast. From that you can figure out what the address prefix is, the net mask. You can also get the default router, DNS information, so on and so forth. But how do you ensure uniqueness of your address? For this, since the address space is so large, 128 bits, what you can do is you could use your Ethernet MAC address as the last 6 bytes and use this prefix that you got from the router as the first few bytes. And in between, you fill them up with zeros so that the total length adds up to 128 bits. There you go, you have a unique IP address now, because the Ethernet MAC addresses are supposed to be unique. Do you think you still need ARP now? So no need for ARP also. Sometimes you are not particularly interested in accessing the outside internet, but you want to communicate locally with other hosts that are part of your organization. For this, you don't need a routable address, but you still need a unique address. In this particular case, you could use that link local prefix that I was talking about earlier. Here, this link local unicast that I was talking, and construct your address. So you use that, follow it up with zeros, and then your Ethernet MAC address, such that all of this again add up to 128 bits. So this one is local to the particular physical network. So others from outside in the internet cannot access because this address is not routable, but all hosts within the particular organization can talk with each other using these addresses. That is why it is called link local addresses. By the way, this is different from this. Here, through this, the router announcing a prefix, this is a globally routable address, whereas this is a globally not routable address. So that's more or less with respect to IP version 6, but a very important question is how do we transition from IP version 4 to IP version 6? Fine, we will shut down the internet Saturday night, we will work on this transition Sunday, and again Monday morning the internet will start working. Such a flag day is impossible to achieve in the internet because so many businesses rely on internet for very crucial things, and you cannot really shut down the internet. So the only option is incremental deployment of IP version 6. So you slowly keep changing certain portions of the internet to IP version 6. Gradually over time, and after many years, the entire internet will be IP version 6. So during this incremental deployment, you need to ensure few things. One is the IP version 4 nodes that are already there should be able to talk with other IP version 4 nodes and also IP version 6 nodes. So these IP version 4 nodes are those nodes that have no understanding of IP version 6. This is rather easy to achieve because this IP version 6 nodes could also support IP version 4 because you already know what IP version 4 is. So the more difficult challenge is IP version 6 node should be able to talk with IP version 6 nodes over intermediate IP version 4 which do not understand IP version 6. This can lead to problems. So the way this is handled is through two operations. One is dual stack operation and another is through tunneling. Dual stack operation is rather simple. All the deployed IP version 6 nodes run both the IP version 4 as well as IP version 6. And you use the version field whenever you receive a packet, you use the version field to direct it to the right process for further processing. This way, an IP version 6 node can talk both with an IP version 4 node as well as an IP version 6 node. In the later case, where IP version 6 wants to talk with IP version 6, but in between, let's say there are some IP version 4, then you run into problems. What kind of problems? Look at this. So this is the IP version 6 header. It has source address, destination address. These are version 6 addresses. And notice that it has a flow ID which was not present as part of IP version 4. So I'm emphasizing the fact that IP version 4, if it were to receive something like this, it wouldn't know how to interpret the header. So in this example, a host A wants to talk with host F over 4 routers, 2 of which are IP version 6, 2 are IP version 4. So this, when it comes to node B, which is a router which also supports IP version 6, there is no problem. But now this has to go to IP version 4. So if it were to send this packet to IP version 4, it wouldn't know how to interpret this packet, very likely it will discard it. But how do you ensure that this packet actually goes all the way till F? So the solution there is called tunneling. So what you do is you take this packet and put it inside another IP datagram. Basically, you attach another IP header to this particular packet. So this packet is going to act as a payload of a IP datagram, where this IP header you are going to use an IP version 4 header, so that this can correspondingly route the packet. So in this particular case, you have to tunnel it from this node B to this particular node E. So what you do is you specify the version 4 address of yourself, because this is dual stacked, it will also have an IP version 4 address, and you will specify the version 4 address of E. Once this intermediate node, this node C, sees this packet, it knows to send it in this direction. So this packet will go over the tunnel all the way till IP version 6. So this is the physical view, which consists of 2 nodes. This is a logical view where you are viewing this as a tunnel to send this particular packet all the way till this particular node E, and this will remove this header, IP version 4 header, and the payload it is going to pass it further. So you must be wondering, how does B know to include V4E as part of the destination address? This information is actually manually configured. So all this tunnel configuration is manual, messy, but unavoidable because of this transition from IP version 4 to IP version 6. So once everyone migrates to IP version 6, you don't need these tunnels. So to summarize, the IP version 6 is the long-term solution to the IP version 4 address exhaustion problem. It addresses many other shortcomings of IPv4, including speeding up the routers, supporting multicast, supporting mobility, and so on and so forth. It has quite a few interesting features. So this migration from IPv4 to IP version 6 is done via dual stack operation and along with tunneling. As of 2011, a few regional internet registries have exhausted their IP version 4 address. So it's good, we have IP version 6 already. As of November 2012, among all the internet traffic, the share that corresponds to IPv6 is a mere 1%. So this is saying we still have a long way to go for IPv6 to catch up. So that's it as far as addressing is concerned.